distributors now that is still in the business of releasing foreign films. You have Potiche out right now with Catherine Deneuve, which seems to be doing quite well.
Yeah, it's doing
but
well.
But it's tough. Explain why it's tough right now with foreign films.
Well, Potiche is a you know, we're analyzing the results. You know, it's the first film that we've opened since the Millennium Trilogy, the Dragon Tattoo Trilogy, as it's better known here.
So you're back to reality.
We're back to reality, yeah, you know.
Give us the figure of how well the Millennium Trilogy ended up doing for your company. It was a domestic release for you.
The three films combined box office was about $21 million.
So you've got it, you know, you've got a little cushion to work with. But it sets the bar higher than it would have been otherwise.
You can't rest on your laurels very long in this business, and you know, the taxman comes and you know, make a few mistakes, and all of a sudden, you know, you're selling popcorn at a multiplex. You know, it goes that quickly.
You don't seem to be doing what some companies have done in the past, which is, you know, there's almost a pattern where they have a huge hit like this, and they go, oh, we're big shots now. We're going to overspend, and we're going to buy bigger things, and we're going to do wider releases. You don't seem to be doing that at all. You seem to be behaving as cautiously as ever.
You sounded like you were recounting our business plan for the second half of the year.
What's the plan?
No, you know, the plan continues to acquire and release films that we respond to. I mean, that's all we can go on. If you try to anticipate the critics, if you try to anticipate audiences, I think you're just going to end up, you know, striking out a lot. You know, to use some sports analogies, you gotta, you know, you gotta respond to what you like, and sometimes that's going to lead you in places that can be a little lonely at times. You know, a few of our 2011 films on our slate might be a little peculiar to some of our competitors. For example, we went out and picked up a Japanese film from 2005 that I've always liked, and I've tried to buy at two different previous companies, called Quill. We're subtitling it Quill, the life of the life of a guide dog. I don't think we can actually use Seeing Eye. I think that's a copyrighted phrase.
Interesting.
But it's
is this a latter day?
It's a classic dog movie.
Hachiko, or
it's every bit as good as, actually, Hachiko is pretty good. The Japanese version was quite good.
One of the great weepies of all time.
Yeah. You know, like, I happen to be a dog lover. I pull out my dog pictures if your flip camera could resolve them. But it's I was a foster parent to three would-be Seeing Eye puppies, and so that's a little bit of how I got involved with this film. But this is a classic dog movie, you know, and dog movies, as we know, always end the same way. But in the meantime, Quill proves himself to be a wonderful companion, and you know, it's sort of a symbol of what we see in our pet canines, and quite touching.
Well, let's go back a little bit.
In fact, it would make a hell of a good remake. Bill Murray would be great as this crotchety guy who initially doesn't want to have a Seeing Eye dog, and I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe you know, I'm happy to send screeners to his people, whatever. I think it'd be huge. But, and the film was gigantic in Japan and throughout Asia. So it's not like a.
It could be an evergreen.
You know, but it's not something that we're going to put on 200 screens. You know, it'll play. You know, maybe matinees, maybe special screenings. You know, but it's primarily a film to go into home entertainment land, and you know, it's the Labrador Retriever is the single most popular dog in America, and it's no coincidence that this dog is a
Labrador Retriever.
A yellow lab. Yeah. Very calculating of us.
So let's go back a little bit and go over the music box story, if you will. what would you say was the first movie that sort of broke you out and brought you to a wider kind of attention?
Well, the obvious one is Tell No One. I mean, that was
Correct.
we really started in 2008. We were laying the groundworks.
You and your partner.
Bill Schaff. Bill owns and operates the Music Box Theater in Chicago, hence the name. And
But you're based in New York.
I am based in New York, and
And you do acquisitions, you do marketing and distribution, but you're partnering with him. How would you define the kind of...
Bill is a lawyer and is a partner in a Chicago litigation firm called Schaff and Weiss, very very well respected, but is also a very good businessman and so he provides the legal and business acumen, which I spectacularly lack in most instances. But he also has a good eye for film, and for him, the film business is sort of a fascinating new challenge to solve. And it's going through a period right now where there's enormous changes and collapsing windows, emerging platforms. So it's a fairly fascinating period.
But you guys have been doing okay on the theatrical front. So after Tell No One...
Notwithstanding all of the
Yeah.
changes afoot, we have been a very traditional company in terms of how we release films. Obviously we come from a theatrical background. I've been involved in exhibition myself for many years and still am. We definitely see a theatrical release as, when it's successful, that's the small proviso in that business plan. But it's the best way to bring relatively obscure titles into more of a wouldn't say mass consciousness, but a slightly mass consciousness, a sub-mass consciousness.
But one way of looking at the current market is to suggest that the bigger companies, and we can start with, the Weinsteins and what was Miramax and then became the Weinstein Co., but also the specialty companies,